Hey there, kids. It's me, Oni the Unicorn. And I'm here to tell you that f***ing your dreams ain't cheap. In fact, it costs a ton of cash to do. So that's why me and the OhNo radio show need your help. Just go to the website displayed below and hit us up with some cash, yo. $1, $5, fuck, $1 million if you have it to spare. Any amount is appreciated. Well, I gotta go because these dreams ain't gonna fuck themselves. See ya!
And welcome back to another edition of the OhNo Wrestling Podcast.
Get the fuck out of here, Fink. You're on the wrong goddamn show. You do not need to be here, Fink.
Well, fuck you then, buddy.
Anyway, guys, my name is Owen. Welcome to another edition of the OhNo Wrestling Podcast. I'm here with my good friend Duncan tonight. Sadly, our friend Matthew could not be with us. I am the Sharp Break Kid, and Duncan is the king of bong style. And we are here to talk about a lot because, man, it's been a busy couple of weeks of wrestling.
And I would also like to say that this is former governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura, and we will be talking about aliens, and we will also be talking
We will
about,
not be talking about that tonight, Jesse
We will be
Ventura.
talking about the fact that the aliens are hidden inside of my balls.
At least I was going to talk about wrestling when I was here.
God damn it, Fink.
This show is getting better and better with every episode, is it not?
I mean, how could it go anyway?
Exactly. You doing all right, though, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Ready to talk about some wrestling.
Yeah.
You are right. It has been a busy couple weeks.
It has. And we didn't do a show on Tuesday, unable to do a show on Tuesday, so we decided that, I had some obligations on some other days, but I was like, you know what? A good old-fashioned Friday show would do the trick.
Friday.
But that means that we missed 2 Wednesdays in that process, which
means that our weeks, in fact, did not begin on Wednesday.
Exactly. Yeah, for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. But it was wild. I almost forgot that there was a Dynamite that we needed to talk about.
Yeah.
Before
this past week's Dynamite.
Yeah, there was all sorts of shit to talk about.
Oh God,
I feel like, dude,
you take a day off from talking about wrestling, and there's 20 things to discuss. I mean, it's a never-ending news cycle.
There's explanations of botched explosions.
Yes.
There's shopping sprees with Nia Jax and Reginald.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
You know what I mean? There's all sorts of stuff going on, and now we've just like
new factions and new
breakups and new groups rising like a phoenix from the ashes.
Yes.
And then now we've got a pay-per-view to talk about later.
I know.
It's busy. So as you were prefacing to me, it's just like we're going to be jumping around a bit. And
we are.
So
yeah. This
it's
show
going to be a little bit like beer pong in audio form.
in wrestling podcast talk. But we'll try, and I think we'll start with exactly what you kind of brought up at the beginning. There was what we haven't really discussed on air, but the discussion and sort of the explanation rather of the botched explosion at Revolution. And I'm gonna go ahead and I want to hear all your thoughts on this, but I'll go ahead and jump right in and say I thought they handled it fantastically.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think they could have handled it better.
No,
given
not
what
really.
It was. So, yeah, they did great. Moxley and Kingston are fucking just great together.
They really are.
Dude, I love how Mox started ribbing on him, and he's just like, oh, I gotta lace my Timbs, gotta make sure. He's like, my style, B, forever 1998 in my head, B, and I'm just like, I relate to that. Yeah. I completely relate to that. So, I thought it was great. And honestly, like, there were a few people that are just like, that was lame. What the fuck do you want? Like, how much better can you explain a botched pyro?
Exactly. It was one of those that they were damned if they acknowledged it. They were damned if they didn't. Like,
yep.
They had to just go. I think they went the way they kind of did it with going sort of straight down the middle. They never they never really, 100% said our pyro failed, like they sort of explained it in kayfabe, but they sort of didn't. And I thought it was a nice way between them, between those two things. And yeah, that promo just kind of that started the whole process. But then, of course, later on in that show, you had Don Callis and Kenny Omega coming out to essentially reinforce the idea that, oh my God, they got PTSD from a time in jail and like all that stuff. 69 me, Don. 69 me, Don. Oh man, that whole thing was fantastic. Like, and
I mean, and again, it's as good of a reaction to it as you could have hoped
as a
for.
Cover up, essentially.
Yeah, but Christ, it's pro wrestling. Like, it's shit goes wrong. Like, it wasn't fucking terrible like it could have been, given pro wrestling and the nature of the match that those two were having.
And at least they didn't do what I assume WWE would do in this type of situation and just edit every single bit out of every package and never talk about it again. It didn't happen.
How could you do that in the day and age that we live in now?
I get that. But that's what they would try and do. Like, everybody would talk about it, but they would like, oh, they'll forget about it in a couple of weeks, and they'll just sort of like move into a new storyline and pretend that it just never happened. And
I mean, they would do that. But nobody would forget.
Absolutely not. But
and that's the thing.
No one would forget, but they would get over it in a month because they're fans and they'll still get a goddamn watch.
Sure, but it's still going to end up. Nobody's not watching AEW because they, had a shit botch at, you know what I mean? Like, especially because the rest of that card and the rest of that match were so good.
I think quite to the contrary, actually. I think a lot of people tuned into that show. More people tuned into that show to see how they would handle it.
Absolutely. That was all we were talking about for the entire week leading up to it is how are they going to, we talked about it on last week's show.
Yep. And bravo to them. I'm very impressed. It's not even the biggest news that comes out of that show, really, because at the end of that show, we have the final split, the thing that we've seen coming for as long as it's been going, with MJF finally turning on the Inner Circle. The mental games that goes into this, the stuff where it's just like MJF is aware that they know that's what's going on, and he thinks
knows that they know that I know that you know.
Yeah,
they know.
It was bright.
What was I talking about? It was great. It was so good, and having Sammy come back.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, bravo. Because as a wrestling fan, right? Like we all have that moment where we're just like, I know what's gonna happen.
Well, I think we're gonna get Jericho actually apologizing to Sam. They're intertwined.
Network error.
We got a network error, or is our feed shitty again?
Yeah, probably.
God
I'm
damn
gonna
it.
check it. No, we're back. No, we're not. Never mind. So we're just gonna keep talking. Not even worry about it. So I think the question for me is, does the inner circle stay the inner circle, or do they split?
I think for the time being, they stick together. The only deviation from that in the immediate future for me would be having Santana and Ortiz split from the group.
Yeah.
That would be the only one. I think that realistically they do stick together for quite a while. And
I think Rock Hard Jake Hager stays.
Yeah. I do for a bit because there's so much money, and I
we're
think
back, by the way.
Oh, good. Yeah, I don't know. I dropped a few frames there, but it seems like it's
we're fine.
It's settling out, but I'll tell Teresa to stop downloading all the porn all at once. Stop BitTorrenting.
Yeah, seriously.
Come on, we've already
download it before the show.
You've already seen Pirates of the Caribbean. You don't need to be BitTorrenting everything. Come on, get out of here.
You have Disney Plus. You don't even need
more. but no, I think there's money in a long-term feud between the two factions as well. I
think there is as well. I do agree with that.
Because we're turning Inner Circle face, right? That's kind of what we're doing in all this.
Yeah. I think that Santana and Ortiz need to leave.
Yeah, and that might happen. I think we're a few months away from that. I think that happens in a couple months after we've had some of the banger matches that we can have with Santana and Ortiz and FTR, and then different incarnations of all what the Pinnacle is now being, as it's being called. I guess we're all assuming, right, that it's MJF as the leader. That is kind of how it's been set up. That MJF is pretty much the leader of the faction.
MJF is the new Flair.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. I like him in that role. I think we all assumed at one point that he would be ousting Jericho from the Inner Circle. And that's the point that I was saying too.
Yeah. We all know what's going on and what's going to happen, but when they can still give us the end result, but take a different route to get there.
I thought it was really smart. Smart because nobody guessed it. Of all the people, I don't think ever there was a lot of candidates that we would have put as this horseman type group. There's a lot of other candidates that we would have put in there before MJF is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The Shawn Spears thing now kind of makes a little more sense too. With all the gambling stuff at the beginning of the pandemic, there's a screenshot of him and Tully and MJF. The three of them together. And whether they knew it at that point or not is irrelevant. The fact that they kind of were working together and have kind of a connection.
And the fact that exists now, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's in the lexicon. They can play it however they want to.
Absolutely.
They can be we knew that was happening the whole time, even if they didn't know until a month ago.
Which it sounds like this was planned pretty far in advance from the sounds of it.
I can imagine, because AEW does this thing that WWE is not as much of a fan of. Is called long-term storytelling.
Yes.
It's very interesting to me because we don't see it a whole lot anymore, but I fucking love it.
Me too.
Limited or no connectivity. Well, let me know if I drop out because my...
Oh, it's on your... Okay, yeah. No, you seem fine right now.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just being obnoxious. But anyway, long-term storytelling and actually building
They used to do
and,
it.
planting. Yeah, they did. And I don't know what happened to it, man, because like it's a goddamn shame because you used to get these stories that would start, you'd get the seeds planted in like April, May.
Yep.
And then they'd pay off at WrestleMania.
100%.
You know
100%.
what I mean? Like you'd have storylines
Go
and-
almost a year.
Yeah, and you'd have through lines, and even if the whole, it's such a different world because you used to see like the big money feud is going to be this guy versus this guy, but we're not going to give it to you. You're going to want to see it. Maybe we'll give you this guy in a tag versus the other guy and the other guy in a tag, right? You'll get like these little things, but they would do a slow build. The guys would never touch each other. They would never actually have that confrontation until months down the line when you'd actually have the match.
No, I'm with
And,
you.
Like, I love that.
Now
AEW
it's all just 50-50 booking decided the night of. And
mostly, yeah.
And I think, we've talked about this in the past, but what a good storyline should really entail is you start at the end and then you book back, like you what is the end of what is the goal? Okay.
Yep.
How do we get to the goal? And then how we reverse it's like reverse engineering a story is really what you do.
It's reverse choose your own adventure.
Exactly. But that's how you end up getting surprising things like this MJF thing. What do you make of the name? The Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle?
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. I think it's it's wrestling enough.
Yep.
And it's different enough from all of the other pro wrestling factions.
I also like that they're running with kind of the suit gimmick, the flare suit, airplane.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's Horseman.
That's
2021.
That's Horseman. But were you at all disappointed that they weren't using the term the Horsemen?
Not a bit.
I think there were some people. I'm not either, but I think there were people out there that were, and I think what my perspective is that you can allude to it. You can have it in a sense where it doesn't. You can have your own thing, allude to it, but then not take away from what the Horsemen were and their own legacy. If you were to call it the Horsemen, now you're like, it becomes Legion of Doom,
LOD 2000.
LOD 2000. Like it becomes that a little bit, right?
Don't tarnish the name.
Yeah, don't tarnish the name because, we think this is going to be good, but what if it isn't? And then it does kind of ruin and put a bad mark on the Four Horsemen and what they've accomplished. And I'm sure it won't be that, but, out of respect, it would make sense to kind of keep it the way,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that the bigger thing, too, is if you're trying to, you already get too many comparisons of AEW being WCW light.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want it to be compared to WCW even more, then you fucking just have them
be the Horsemen. Yeah,
You're
calling them
trying-
because they couldn't call them the Four Horsemen at the moment because Wardlow, of course, is in there as well. So there's
Sure.
it's too many people to call them that. It's five horsemen, six horsemen, all that sort of shit doesn't really sound good.
No, but the Four Horsemen still were the Four Horsemen plus James J. Dillon.
Correct.
So,
yeah, I mean, you get away with that. Yeah, especially with Tully. Tully would play that role, I suppose. But
of course. Well, I mean, shit, JJ even came back to
right.
do some. So,
but calling them just the Horsemen would still do the same thing.
Yes, but I think that also what you're trying to do is establish a new legacy for a new company.
Yep.
The comparisons to the Horsemen are going to be there regardless. You don't need to shove it in people's face.
Very well put. Very well put. How then, moving on just from that a little bit, and I'm sure we'll weave back some into that eventually, but what are your thoughts on how they're dealing with Christian? He obviously came back at Revolution, at
Revolution.
You got to give me a little bit of warning there so I can turn
You
on your.
said it.
Yeah,
You
you're right.
said
That's
the
all I
word.
need. That's all I need to do. You're right. You're right.
If you say the
if I say the word, my fader needs to be
Yeah.
ready to go with your echo. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That being said, though, like we, had him debut back at Revolution. Not gonna do it. It was with mixed, opinions. We were all of the opinion, I think, that no, this is a good thing. Christian's going to be good for the company. It's a good fit. I think we all were in agreement of that.
Mhm.
I, kind of got, but didn't really okay, would have liked him to say something at the pay-per-view. See what I did? I'm not letting you get in there.
I do.
And
I do.
but then again, of course, it played into the Kenny Omega bit with Don Callis and him getting interrupted. He was going to talk, but never really talked on that following Dynamite. And then finally, we got to hear from him on Wednesday.
Right.
I liked his promo on Wednesday. I liked what they are doing with that because it kind of goes along with, I think, what I said last week is that Christian needs to play up and be true to what it says on his shirt. Outwork everyone. And
Yeah.
that's more or less what that promo was. It was Kenny Omega, I'll see you down the line. I'm here for that title. But first, wins and loss records matter. I've got to outwork everyone before I get to you. I want to see him in a ring now. It needs to be in the next week or two, and I really hope they don't go down the same sort of trap that they did with Sting and Darby, that whole thing. Well, when Sting got introduced and it was just repetitive over and over and over. I get it a little bit because you're saving it, but no, if we're going to go with this outwork everyone thing, he needs to be working matches on the mid card on a Dynamite.
Yeah. I also think that Christian and Sting are in two different physical conditions.
Yeah.
So that's sort of an apples and oranges comparison.
You get why I make it, though. I mean,
I
especially with the
absolutely do.
injuries and stuff, and that
Yeah,
sort of
but
thing.
also, dude, Christian is younger than Sting by a good little clip, right?
Oh, very much so. You got about
And
14, 15 years in between the two of them, I think.
And he's also got a he's had the injuries, but he hasn't had the debilitating injuries.
What was it with Christian again? Was it?
I don't. Well, let's look that up.
Yeah,
because I don't really know.
I think he
Because
had
I
some
know that.
neck shit, or was it concussion stuff? I think I do kind of just put him he had the same shit that Edge had or what have you. I don't think it was ever as severe as all that.
It might have been. It might be
concussion or yeah. And as we've seen with, Daniel Bryan and all these, I think that maybe even the technology's a bit better now. They can treat things a little bit better now. One would hope. And realistically, if Daniel Bryan can be doing what he's doing at the moment, trust me, we'll talk about that motherfucker later on in the show. But if he can be doing what he's doing at the moment, then I think Christian can be doing it as well. And
absolutely.
I think he can probably wrestle on a high level. I'm guessing he's gonna be around for at least 2-3 years from what they're kind of saying.
I would think so.
And do you see, as I personally think, do you see Duncan that he will hold that AEW title at one point, at some point?
If he's there for a few years,
yeah.
I can see it happening depending on how long Kenny's belt collecting expedition takes.
See, I think it's going to happen sooner than we think. Now, it won't happen on their first meeting. There's always going to be this underlying feud, right? And I think the way the world looks at it is Kenny's going to do his collecting thing. Hangman eventually takes it from Kenny. MJF takes it from Hangman. Christian could then take it from MJF.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, we could go that route, but
You
I
could
also think that you might see a Christian take it from a heel Christian taken from Hangman.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it's just going to really depend on how they choose to go with it.
Yeah.
Because to us, Hangman is, well, obviously you have to have Hangman be the one, right?
I mean,
Who
it's
takes
got
the
to
belt
at
from
some
Kenny.
point. It's got
It has to be. However, they know that.
Yep.
And they know that we know that.
And that's why they won't. You know, like, but
Because,
that's also like they could go the other way. Well, they know that, so they don't think that's going to happen. So it's like that reverse psychology
I
thing.
know
and
exactly,
then,
but that's why AEW
total
is
mindfuck.
actually good at keeping us guessing for the
Mhm.
most part, is because we, you know, it's even if it looks telegraphed at the last second, we're gonna be like, oh shit, they did something different.
It's
right?
interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that. I find myself guessing on all the pay-per-views being very like, ooh, that could go either way. But Dynamites are very predictable. Apart like from like the shock surprises with like the MJF and you know, like the turns and stuff like that. Like they'll
Sure.
move storylines along a lot better on a Dynamite. But most, I would say 90% of the matches are relatively predictable as to who will come out the victor.
I feel like if they don't have any sort of stipulation or stakes attached to them, then you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty easy to predict. Now, that does, like, I'm not saying that's necessarily a detriment because I do think that then ends up making it more fun for a pay-per-view where, wow, anything could happen.
Right.
Like,
And anything does happen on the pay-per-views, too,
100%.
which is why I like doing it, and which is why like sometimes the ridiculous predictions that we have is just like, oh fuck, that was actually right.
Yeah, you know, talking about Kenny as well, I do want to bring up the huge news that you mentioned very much on our last show, like the breaking
at the
news.
very end, yeah.
The very end, it was just breaking with the whole Rich Swann Moose situation over in Impact. And so that's settled now, right? Isn't it going to be Swann and Omega?
It is Swann and Omega. Rich Swann defeated Moose. Sorry, spoilers for the Impact pay-per-view that was this past week. Or no, it was
last.
Oh, because we did it Saturday.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
what
I was all fucked up because we did the prediction show on Saturday.
That's
So
what
yes,
it is
so
because
it was-
we did an extra show last week. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Yep, that's why.
So on Saturday night, the TNA title versus the Impact title unification match. Rich Swann versus Moose.
Who I like, by the way. Moose is
Moose.
fucking.
I like Moose. One of the
he's good.
refs in NXT looks like a mini Moose. It's funny.
You'll have to point that one out next time we're there.
I will. I will. And fucking yeah, so Rich Swann won to become the unified, undisputed, whatever they're calling it. I don't know what they're calling it, unfortunately.
It's probably just going to be the Impact Championship. I would guess.
Yeah, I would say that like at this point they could call it the undisputed Impact Champion.
Something like that, which is cool.
If they wanted to.
Which is cool. But so the winner of that match then gets or will be facing Kenny Omega, they already announced, at the next Impact pay-per-view.
Yes.
Rebellion
title versus title.
Title versus title. I mean,
so it starts.
Logically, yeah, you got to think that Kenny's going to win that. I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll see. If the collector thing is real and they're really going to go down this route, it has to be.
Okay.
It has to start here.
Fucking.
I guess it's already started. But...
David Finlay and Juice Robinson beat the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team titles. Those two are New Japan talents.
Right.
It's starting.
The door is just getting open wider and wider and wider.
As, like these travel restrictions are lifting,
it's gonna swing right. I mean, the drawbridge is down. It's not even a door anymore. It's a drawbridge. Like
exactly.
That's
they're working on finishing the express lane.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And honestly, I'm really excited about it because I fucking cannot wait to see Bullet Club OG versus the Elite. And or versus whatever it is, like, dude,
it's literally perverse at how many options we have right now with all this stuff. Like, it's, you can go on for days. Like, this is going to be like a 2 to 3 year thing with Kenny. Like, and because he's gonna, he's gonna climb the mountain, he's gonna get them all, and then he's gonna have to come down, and yeah,
not just with Kenny either.
Absolutely.
Like, dude, this is the new NWO angle. Not in the invasion sense, but in the long-term huge money making.
Yep.
This is NWO all over again, because you'll end up, dude, think of the matches that you can have between all three of these companies, right? Like Ring of Honor and NWA are working together. But like Impact has great people.
Yeah, it's going to be good for all companies. It's going to be good for everyone involved, and it is going to be this is going to be the type of thing that like slightly more than casual, but not super like smart like us fan of WWE. This is going to be the type of thing that's going to be like, I have to check this out. Because it's so big, it's like you won't be able to be a wrestling fan at all without hearing about it.
Yep,
and that's what's going to be interesting. You want to know a really interesting fact as well, just super quick.
Yeah,
TNA Impact has been in business for twice the length than WCW.
Wow,
think about that. 20 odd years.
They probably filmed at Universal as long as WCW was around.
Yeah, WCW wasn't around for that long. Like, as just WCW. No one ever thinks about that. It was about 10 years. So, right? It's somewhere in there.
It might have been a little bit longer.
A little bit longer.
Dude, TNA's been around for a while.
Like, a while. Like, I think right around 20 years.
That's crazy.
Like, maybe a little bit even longer. But yeah, to think about, like, TNA Impact, whenever I know, like, if you were to,
well, hold on, that doesn't seem right to me though. Like,
am I mixing something up? Because I did hear that. I did. I thought I fact checked it. So please double fact check me on it.
I'm going to. I don't disagree with you, but I'm just like, when the hell?
Because the thing with WCW.
No, you're right. Yeah. WCW founded in 1988.
Yeah.
All right, so 1988 to 98, so 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so, and then, so World Championship Wrestling, so then TNA Wrestling.
I think it was about,
founded 2002.
So it's there. It's there.
So it's not twice as long. They have been in business longer.
But it's getting there.
No, I mean it is getting there, but I mean there's still like the fact that they're still in business. Dude, how many years have we been saying this is the last year that Impact's gonna be a thing?
Yeah.
Like,
they turned it around so much in this last, I think they've bought themselves some time, and good on them. And again, this whole crossover and doors opening and working, like, in a way, Impact owes their staying alive to an AEW in a lot of ways, like, and to other promotions. I don't know if they could survive without, like, this explosion in wrestling popularity, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Probably not. I think that they ran through their their lean years when there wasn't as much competition and independent wrestling just wasn't as talked about.
Right.
But it's really been over the last 6 or 7 years that there's been this explosion, at least in the mainstream, because I consider the explosion, because if it sucked us in,
then
then that's how I know that it was significant.
Yep.
Because when we started this show, we pretty much talked about WWE and we didn't cover anything independent, no Ring of Honor, no Impact. We would shit all over everything.
And now we have to cover at least some of it every week. Like there's
And
always a couple things that pop up.
Dude, like we just like watching wrestling.
Yeah.
I've been fucking binge watching Lucha Underground all day.
If it's good wrestling, it's good wrestling, and we'll watch it. And that's
Yeah.
I think the key. That's the key.
Even if it's bad wrestling, as long as it's entertaining wrestling,
Yeah.
that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Totally with it. I mean, and if you're gonna take itself seriously, make it count. But I'll ask you this: do you know, has Nick Aldis wrestled at all during the pandemic? You mentioned his name just a bit ago, so came to mind. But
I don't think so.
I don't think he would have, right?
I don't think he would have either.
Because he barely wrestles was wrestling on NWA Power because he's like the champion and special attraction, and they would save that for. So like I know that they stopped taping those shows. I'm sure he wrestled occasionally on those, but I would imagine that he's probably not wrestled since we had the very first sort of lockdown, which that's got to be tough for a pro wrestler in that situation, to especially a guy of his caliber, to not have wrestled in over a year at this point. Is
no, you're absolutely right. It's kind of crazy.
That's terrible, actually. Like I feel bad for him. Like gets a very lengthy run with that belt, but he was going to have that anyway. But that's also stuff that they can, if they want to, they can feed into the storyline with if Kenny goes after that belt, because they can really kind of blame it on the ring rust and that type of thing. He's not wrestled a match in this amount of time. And if they do that, it also leads to, well, Nick Aldis maybe loses it, and then in a few months, well, now I have wrestled a bunch more, so like he's a lot more prepared for the second match for then when he gets it back or something like that,
Right.
Like, but you could easily work that. I personally think into a storyline. It's because can't necessarily fake that this thing doesn't exist.
Well, and that's just it. It's like most of the other wrestling promotions don't typically do what WWE does and just pretend it doesn't exist.
Pretend it doesn't exist. That's my whole point,
I mean, Vince has apparently been very upset with a lot of talent.
I think he's changed his tune a bit, it seems like.
I mean, like, apparently his wife not being in the cabinet anymore.
Not only that, but I feel like, let's be real, the logical reason that he is pissed off about it is because he wants, like, in just presentation to look good, like, hey, WWE's doing the right thing, so we can get 45,000 people into WrestleMania, which now we understand that Tampa Bay government, or I think it was the Tampa Bay government, but they quickly changed tune on that.
They're just like,
no, you can do 25. It's like
25.
Is it 25? That's
25.
Yeah.
25 a night. I had a
Which
couple
is still
of free codes.
That's a crazy amount, by the way. It's still
well, I mean, that's about it is, but it's about a third.
Right.
Right.
So you could theoretically socially distance properly with that amount of people.
I had pre-sale codes.
It's the lines, it's the concessions, it's all that stuff. It's the hallways in between and getting to and from. That's what I worry about. That's what I don't like.
But why are you worrying? Because the CDC is changing their guidelines now, saying that 3 feet is adequate.
They did not know that.
Yeah, so they I don't know if they've come out and said that for general society, but they said earlier today they're just like, well, 3 feet between kids and schools is fine.
Nah, I don't buy that.
So I'm just like, dude, it doesn't matter right now. If you go out anywhere, nobody is 6 feet away from you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many shitty looks I give people, they don't care.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So,
wrestling show.
But I was looking it up, dude, and they they have pods of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's how they were doing it.
They're more expensive too this year, from what I've been hearing. Like they're really trying to make up that cost. From what I've seen in our Facebook group, a lot of people have been saying that they've been before, they've paid, like, and they're a lot more expensive.
I wouldn't say a lot more expensive.
Just a tad.
I'd say a little bit more expensive,
Okay.
but I wouldn't
right.
say a lot more expensive. And also, like, we've also been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we've been to WrestleMania. I looked at the tickets for, like, give or take the area that we were in for Orlando.
About the same.
About the same.
What do we
Because
pay for those?
I was looking for 2 nights. Like, we paid $180 plus then the fees.
Yeah,
or whatever. So it ended up being like $200.
It was about $200. I think
it was. I think it was like $220.
That's
per
about
person.
yeah.
And I think these were like, I don't know,
$270.
I think they were because I was looking for a 2-night package.
Right. Yeah.
So it was $400 each for the 2 seats for 2 nights. So $200, and then it would have been another $50 or $60 in fees because it's Ticketmaster and everything. So not that much more. And considering what some of the floor seats have gone for in the past, they're definitely not more. Not if you can get them regular on sale, like through Ticketmaster, through the first on sale, you're not paying that much more. Like, it's not like it's double the cost of WrestleMania or anything like that. It's not.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. It's not as crazy as we think it is. Moving on a little bit, I wanted to talk tonight about Andrade. And, of course, since we last talked, he has asked for his release from WWE and since been denied, which doesn't come as a huge surprise.
No surprise at all, honestly.
But I've got one of my favorite segments. Not really that it's a segment, but one of my favorite things to do to you. I've got my high wrestling thought of the night coming later, and it does involve Andrade. But
all right.
But before we get to any of that, you were saying that it's pretty obvious to you that he would be going to Ring of Honor, because of his family relations and friends that he has in Ring of Honor, right? I mean,
that's what I would think. I mean, obviously, Andrade is the type of talent that anyone in any company would
be foolish not to want, and that's why WWE has denied this release.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And apparently he was not backstage at Raw this week.
I heard that. That's crazy.
So
yeah, it's anybody's guess. JR has said that, like, hey, like, I'd love to work with him. Like,
of course, AEW would love to work with him. Like, they'd be silly not to.
Why wouldn't
I just think that, like, in my mind, you want to put Ring of Honor a step up in legitimacy, right? Like,
oh man, he could be a great world champion for them. He could hold that belt very well.
I mean, his brother already is world champion.
Yep.
So
even a feud with them though works.
Yeah, but I don't see
not
that
immediately.
happening.
Not immediately, but I mean, there's stuff to play with. Is I guess what I'm saying. Like, down the road.
I mean, I think the fact that they're doing a La Facción Ingobernable in Ring of Honor is perfectly suited for Andrade.
Yeah.
To lead, and just show up in the La Sombra mask.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Attack somebody and then take it off and show, like it.
Yep.
That's got huge eyes that would get drawn to that.
And we can't obviously be surprised that Andrade is a little bit pissed off and wants his release because of just how he's being asked. You've mentioned, I think your quote is perfect from a couple weeks ago, that, hey, Charlotte has apparently pitched an angle with Andrade and them being together as an on-screen couple and that type of thing. And if she can't get it through,
Right.
then whoa.
Dude, if she can't get it through, then
No
they
chance.
have lost
Yep.
all faith in Andrade.
100%. The other person that I think they've obviously lost faith in, and I was going to ask you this one specific question about this individual.
Satan.
Is Aliester Black being punished because of Zelina Vega?
I don't think so. I feel like that would be the sexier thing to have happen.
Of course.
And I just like WWE is very petty.
It's dirt sheet
but-
stuff, but that's the type of thing that they would do. I mean,
Yeah, but I don't really think it is.
no.
Like
You
I
just
don't
don't.
really think it is.
You just
'Cause
don't think they
honestly-
maybe know how to use him? Is that the like?
I think that what it was is that he falls into that group with Ricochet
Mhm.
and Andrade,
Mhm.
who were
That
Paul Heyman guys.
That will come back to my high thought of in wrestling of the week. Yeah.
But I mean, like that when Heyman was in charge of writing SmackDown, like he was.
they were
pushing
on
those
every
guys.
week. They were on every
Right.
week. He was high on them, and honestly, like I guess the numbers were down, but there were a few weeks there that Heyman was doing great stuff with. Was
That's
it
the
Raw?
thing.
I think he was Raw, right? Or
I thought it was SmackDown because like Vince is
Bischoff and
always-
I thought Bischoff initially got SmackDown and Heyman got Raw. Or am
Oh,
I getting
dude,
that? Fuck, it all blends into one. I don't know.
Yeah, and
We've been through a pandemic since then. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either. And the fact that, dude, it's just so I read an interview with Heyman earlier today that said that, and he said that he doesn't think that it will have that, Andrade or Aliester Black or Ricochet will. He's just like, I was trying to get them to where I thought they should be faster.
Yeah.
He's like, they will still end up where
They'll
they
still
should be
get
because they are
there.
world caliber talents.
Yep.
And I agree with that.
I think you could
I
say the
just-
same for Keith Lee at the moment as well. Like he'll
Fucking
get there. He's
Poor
being
Keith Lee
don't you forget about Keith.
on that list of fucking. He's on the right in the middle of the list of people who will not be appearing at WrestleMania, even though they got 2 nights to fill.
Like how?
That's what I'm saying. Like how?
How?
You're not going to have him. Alistair Black won't be on there. Andrade won't be on there.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And they won't even be on. I mean, it shows you how bloated that roster is, really. That they can put on a WrestleMania, they can put a 2-night WrestleMania, a 2-night takeover,
Mm-hmm.
an NXT UK event, which apparently is happening as well.
Dude, it's going to be like
today.
15 days of wrestling in a row.
Oh God, I'm gonna kill myself. It's gonna be too much.
It's going to be too much. It's going to be
It
absolutely
is.
too
It's
much.
going to be too much. I won't be able to watch everything. And
No, and why would you fucking want to?
why would you want to? But the
Like,
fact
I
that they
love
can put
wrestling,
on
but-
all those events, like especially the 2 NXT days and the 2, main roster WrestleMania days, without those guys that we just mentioned, like that is kind of absurd. Like
Mhm.
it's gluttonous is their roster. That's the way I would put it at
Yeah,
this point.
absolutely.
And it kind of leads me to a question that I've had written down for a couple of weeks now, because I fear in the same way that AEW's roster might be getting a little too big.
I can't disagree with that.
It's
Dude, here's
close.
the thing.
It's close.
It's close, but if you take into account Dark,
And now Dark Elevation.
I mean, I guess it's the question of how many people are actually on the roster versus
Right.
how many people are just being used as
Used.
sort of independent contractors.
I'll tell you about something I saw just that came out today about a segment. I don't know if it was on Dark Elevation or on Dark. This is going to be so difficult to explain, you know what I mean? But I wish they would have called it something else. Like I wish they would.
Why would
like,
you call it Dark Elevation? It's
yeah.
like calling it NXT Progressive.
either way, on one of those shows, apparently Jack Evans of the Hybrid 2,
TH2.
TH2.
It's him and Helico, right?
Yes, and
Angelico.
and Helico.
No,
yeah,
they
butcher
he's
it.
in-
They butcher it.
No, he's in Lucha Underground, and because it's all like Lucha and Latino themed, it's all like so they pronounce it Angelico, even though he's South African.
Yeah, even though it's South African. Yeah, I don't get it either.
No, it's fine. It's not for us to get.
I forget what movie did, but it's one of these like Phoenix spin splashes. Like, they do all sorts of crazy shit. He's Jack Evans, by the way, if you're picturing him, he's the one with the ponytail. Yep. Not the emo looking haircut that
no, not the
Jack Evans is the one with the ponytail. Right? Yeah. And then Helico's the one with the emo haircut.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Good. But there was apparently a pretty bad botch with he had a singles match with number 10 of the Dark Order.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I heard about this. I didn't. And
it actually looks pretty nasty. Like, go back and
they pulled it off. They pulled it.
Yeah. So like, of course they air it live, kind of live, or what have you.
I think it's on a very slight delay.
Yeah, but on YouTube, and then they like cut it. Yeah, they had to remove it because it looked pretty bad. And what happened? It was
going to get pulled from YouTube for violating
exactly. This is the story I'm talking about. And
wow.
he fucked up the movie, botched it, and he caught number 10 with, I think it was an elbow pretty much to the head. As he did
Preston Vance.
That guy is a stud, by the way. Like, watch out for that dude in the future.
Most of Dark Order are sleeper fucking like
100% right. 100% right on that. And
he was I saw stills of it, and he's literally like bleeding
through the mask.
His mask.
And then they
had masks like that.
That's hard to bleed through.
Fucking real hard to bleed through.
Mm-hmm. So they had then -1, Brody Lee's kid, who is buddies with number 10, after the match, come out and fist bump number 10. And number 10 is probably like disorientated. He's got blood all over his hands from probably like reaching up and holding his head, and fist bumps the kid. And there's a visual that they had to take down of little Brody Lee with his little knuckles covered all over his knuckles. So that's that funny story that right before the show I was like, have you heard about this one? Like,
and I apparently like
You heard a bit about it, but not
bit of it. Yeah, like what I had heard was the AEW had to pull part of their YouTube. Like that was
what it was. That was they pulled it down,
like a little bit,
edited that out, and then they also, when that happened, they had to go straight to the finish. Like, it was one of those like, oh, I fucked up. Straight to the finish, close out the match. I think obviously 10. I haven't seen 10 wins. And then the whole like fist bump thing happens and all that. But now it sounds like, unfortunately, Jack Evans has a bit of backstage heat on him. Take that with a grain of salt. We always hear this type of thing. We're not insiders. I got no fucking clue if that's the case. But I will say there was the next match, from what I heard, was a match with Angelico, I believe, on... So I think this happened on Elevation, and then the following night, Angelico had a match on Dark, or it could have been on the same show. Either way, Jack Evans, who would usually be out there supporting Angelico, was not out there. And that's where I believe some of the speculation comes from, as to like, yeah, you fucked up. But hey, it happens, and it's unfortunate, and I'm sure, of course, he didn't meet it. So
and that's what's the old saying, it ain't ballet.
And he's an excellent talent. Like, that dude is trained. Like, that dude knows what he's doing. If you've ever watched those two work, they're another one that I think is a sleeper. Like, they could easily in a year or two I believe, hold tag team championships.
Dude, the problem is you go back to what you were talking about, is there is too much talent
Too much talent.
and not enough time.
Yep.
Not enough time to make all of these people main roster stars.
That's hard. It's a hard thing to do.
It is. And the real kicker is you have all of this talent that got sort of scooped up by AEW in the same way that WWE scooped up all of their talent a few years ago to, make it so that nobody else could have them.
Yep.
But, are you happy working, only working on dark or dark elevation? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you get brought back every week continually and that's as good as it gets.
I think they're holding out until they have that second TV show on TNT, and one of those shows will it'll morph. Yeah. That show will morph into that. It might even get its own belt or something
I think they're gonna need another belt at some point.
I do too.
For that reason.
Yeah. No.
Right.
I agree.
You need to give the people on that other brand, essentially. It's not another brand, but the other show that aren't getting play on Dynamite, you need to give them something to aspire towards, as opposed to just having matches on AEW.
I would almost like them to, at this point, make a light heavyweight championship for AEW. It would be so fitting with the rosters.
Or do an X Division kind of thing, where it's, sort of whatever. Ring of Honor has a pure championship, which has a specific set of rules and things like that. There's ways to do it. I definitely think that they can do that. I'm surprised there isn't a 6-man tag championship in AEW already. So
that would like a 3-man tag belt type thing, that which they have, I know, in New Japan, and that's got to happen over time, especially
I would think so.
All the factions and stuff in those. Yeah,
AEW is faction happy. I would think it'd have to happen.
Yep. I can't believe we've made it almost an hour into this show, Duncan, and not brought up the burning wrestling question of the week, or topic of the week. No, it's our good buddy Reggie and his new involvement with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
Well, it's really more an involvement with Nia. Shayna's not really interested.
No, she isn't. But our boy has been all over, mostly SmackDown. I would say that, but no, he's been all over everything to do with the women's division lately, and every angle.
Dude, last SmackDown pretty much was the Reggie show.
It was the Reggie show. I think he had 4 segments. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 3 or 4. It was awesome.
Yeah, and he did great in all of them.
Yep.
And I enjoyed him getting his new suit and doing a nice little backflip into Nia Jax's lap. I don't know why, but now all of a sudden I find Nia Jax interesting, and seriously, it's actually made her tolerable. I kind of like the dynamic and the angle that they're working with. It's fun to me. It's kind of an old school mama, come here, mama saying, come here, baby.
Dude, it's, I don't know. It's definitely, I had people who are just like, yo, what's up with your boy? And I'm just like, well, he's a professional.
Yep.
And so the boss tells him, hey, I want you to do this. He goes, yes, sir. So I think that, dude, I love it. And I think that it's something different. It's something you don't see all the time. It's a way to keep them relevant. And honestly, we didn't see him on TV this week because he's got his daughter, so he's playing dad.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I see pictures and whatnot, and I'm just like, oh, his daughter is so cute.
Oh, she would be.
She's a sweet sweetheart. She was in Mexico with us for a little while.
Oh, you've met her. That's cool.
Yeah. And so I think that I feel like Reggie might have a little bit of something to do with Fastlane results.
I think so too. I think he will,
So-
and I think that he might even get involved in Mania, and that's something that when we do our predictions in just a little bit for Fastlane, maybe we'll save for there. For
yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Reggie, and now this Nia Shayna thing, and and the Bianca Sasha thing. Like, there's something, I don't know. It's moving in an interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also say what's moving, and maybe not so much in an interesting way, is Shane McMahon is now sliming people. Like, that's a thing that's happening.
Jesus Christ.
So he goes and slimes Braun.
Okay, first of all, before we get to the sliming,
Yeah.
like, it's been like what, 2 weeks of him basically just running away
You're
from
dumb.
Braun.
You're dumb.
You're
dumb.
stupid.
You're stupid.
By the way, you're stupid.
By the way, you're stupid.
Don't call me stupid. Okay, dumb. You fucking big meathead. What do you want? What do you want me to call you? And then he slimes the poor fuck.
What do they have against Braun? They hate Braun, don't they? They must hate Braun.
Thought they loved Braun.
I know they did at one point.
They used to love
Braun.
They definitely used to love Braun, and now they're just like, so you can just fuck off.
Well, they did the whole thing. They announced a match at Fastlane.
That's apparently not happening now.
That's apparently then, just without any explanation, been removed from the WWE website and just removed from the card without any talk of it whatsoever. So, okay.
Even I'm trying to understand why WWE does some of the shit that they do.
What is the kayfabe explanation of where slime comes from?
I think that is leftover afterbirth from Mae Young giving birth.
Yes, the hand. That's right,
hand.
Leftover. Do you know what the UK
20-year-old
Do you know what
reference.
they call slime? Like the same thing, the green slime that they pour like in Nickelodeon or whatever. Do you know what they call that in the UK?
What?
Gunge.
Gunge?
Yeah.
Gunge?
Yeah, it sounds so more disgusting.
That's fucking vile.
I know. He got the gunge. He
Gunge.
got the gunge on him. Oh.
Got the gunge on him. I scraped a bit of gunge off.
Do
me
that
underside.
as Bad News Barrett.
I'm afraid I've got some gunge news. I've been straight. I got the gunge on the underside of me taint.
That's what I think of. It's like some nasty,
like
disgusting,
it's from under. Yeah,
Gunge is like something like from a
gunge.
nasty place.
yeah. Gunge is like if you've got herpes or gonorrhea and the shit's oozing out. Like,
Yeah.
it's chlamydia.
Ugh.
Gunge is like
Good old. Oh God. Sorry, that got me. The other thing that's been just kind of out of nowhere is New Day just decided to go and win the tag team belts again.
and cut the most heel promo possible at the
Right?
end of it too.
Like,
They're like, don't
okay.
be mad at us. Be mad at your favorites for not being able to. I'm like,
So not only that, like we completely write off the Street Profits. See you later. See, like even though bye, because AJ and Omos came out and decided to be like, yo, AJ's like, the only thing I haven't done yet is win some tag team championships, and I got this big dude right here, and we're gonna win some tag team championships, motherfucker. Okay. This is a very interesting move. Is this Vince McMahon just being very confused? And we've heard stories of this. If like they were going back to the drawing table for all the stuff coming to Mania. Like they were going back to the drawing table, throwing away some of their original plans. Like this has to be one of those, right?
maybe. maybe, maybe Vince wants the Street Profits to win. Maybe he's got this big solo cup celebration in mind for WrestleMania.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He needs them to win it
At
so they
WrestleMania,
obviously
so they
had
gotta
to
lose
it.
You're onto something
So
there, buddy.
you lose it to the New Day, and then the New Day drops it to Omos and AJ,
Which then lose it back to the Street Profits
at WrestleMania, and
WrestleMania.
they shoot a billion solo
cups in the air.
free souvenirs for everybody.
Yeah. That's
And they say we want the smoke.
That's not. They will give them the smoke, and they will make
I
a
will
big deal
I
of
will
it.
give them the smoke.
Yeah. Then we got, of course, stuff coming up with tonight, right? Like, yeah, because it is Friday. It's probably going on literally as we speak.
Oh yeah, there's been we've missed all of SmackDown tonight.
Yeah. Edge and Jay are probably in a match right now.
Yeah.
To become the special guest enforcer for the match between dbry and Roman at Fastlane. I think we would probably predict that Edge would win tonight. Like, I'm guessing, but the story is interesting as how that could shape. Like, it's added a bit more intrigue than the original just Edge Roman thing. The whole this last couple weeks have been interesting in that dbry he's shown tinges of going heel again a little bit too, and I don't think that we've seen the full kind of metamorphosis of what this feud is yet. We're not at the final form of. I think we might end up with a triple threat with dbry in there.
I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't either, because I think that's gonna help. I think that's gonna help every member in the match.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
and I think that that would, that would be a good match. And then Edge wins.
He's still, I mean, we're not there yet, so
No, I know. No, we've still got a little bit on that one.
Little bit with that one.
It's just interesting to me that there's only a handful of matches announced for Mania so far, and you got 2 nights to fill.
Yeah, no shit.
That's a lot of wrestling. Even if you add, what are they gonna do for because there was rumor of the NXT championship being defended at it, but if they're doing the 2-night takeover as well, and
they're saving that for takeover. Yeah,
because it's Cross and
Balor.
Finn.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
I think they announced that for.
Oh, is that a solid? Yeah,
I think so.
Maybe I didn't catch that. I have not. I'll be honest. I've not been paying much attention to NXT, so I'm a little bit out of the loop. I know that
just I'm out of the loop on AEW because it's easier for me to catch up with NXT.
I know that they did the whole fill me in on the whole women's tag belts being introduced, and then I know they switched hands on the same night.
So they introduced the women's tag belts. Regal introduced them because and immediately had all of the women's roster from NXT out on the ramp, and then it brought Gonzalez and Dakota Kai into the ring and had them basically said, because you were screwed last week out of the WWE Women's Championships, we are high time, and he's just you are the inaugural NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And then Shotzi and Ember came into the ring and challenged them, and then they had a match later on that week.
And then so
later on that night.
And now Shotzi and Ember are the new tag champs, the women's tag champs, which is
But
fine. I get it. The problem I have with it is that the main roster doesn't do kind of much with their tag championships, and I feel like you could have just had them be a 3-brand belt.
Yeah,
or-
but when you see all of the women's roster lined up on the ramp, you're just like, holy
Then
fuck,
you
NXT has a lot of women. So, and also
Gives them more of
apparently
a
from
chance.
what I heard is they were supposed to be crowned champions the night of that takeover.
Oh, right.
So the Dusty Classic, which was the one that I went to.
Yeah. Did they not have the belts or something?
They didn't have the belts ready.
The
The belts weren't ready until
they didn't pull a Cody and have a half-made belt that they brought out.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Which, they probably should have, like, I owe you one pair NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. But yeah, so that's why it happened. And I feel like if that would have happened and then it would have been a couple weeks or a week or whatever between, it would have been 2 weeks between them winning the titles and then having the, you know what I mean? Like they could have had the titles for a couple weeks and then lost them. I think they were
that was the
always-
original plan. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
I think they were always going to put them on Shotzi and Ember.
Yep.
But a lot of people were mad that it happened an hour after they were presented the titles. And I'm like, it's wrestling.
It's wrestling, and it's also one of those ways. I mean, they kind of did it with how they hot potatoed the Universal title as well when it first got introduced, just to be able to put a little bit of prestige on it and like, look at all these people that like have won it in this
well, and also Finn hurt himself,
right, like but I still think they probably would have done that a little bit, like without Finn. Who knows? We can't say.
Yeah,
we
maybe,
can't say.
maybe not. Like maybe Finn would have held it for a while, and he'd be a much higher established star on the main roster than.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Exactly.
We'll never know. A couple little quick bits of news before I do my high wrestling thought, and then we get into predictions, Duncan.
Oh shit.
But a couple little bit of just quick news things. Oh shit! No, we have to talk a bit about Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in that no lights match. That's something that I was kind of saving, and I gotta tell you, it was great. It was everything that the women's division in AEW needed.
Yep.
Goddamn thumbtacks! They get me every goddamn time.
Yeah, you're not. You are not.
Oh. They always
You're
get
not a
me.
fan of thumbtacks.
No, I can do barbed wire more than I can do thumbtacks. Thumbtacks just somehow, like, it's when you see them just sticking all in the back and like.
Dude, I think it's because we've inevitably you've had your skin pierced by a thumbtack.
Oh,
before.
I've done it. Yeah, oh yeah.
We've all done it accidentally or whatever, and just like fuck.
Yeah.
So you imagine just like a back full of thumbtacks, and you're just like.
But it was more than that with this match. Yes, it was a bloody match, but the psychology in every aspect, it was perfect. It was it was close to a 5-star match for a TV match. Like if that was on a pay-per-view and got a little bit more time, and it had a decent amount of time. But if it had a little bit more time, I think we'd be talking about a 5-star match here, especially with those two performers. It was probably just over a 4 at the end of the day, but it was very, very solid. It cements, if she wasn't before, it cements Britt Baker as a goddamn superstar. That Crimson Mask was incredible. I mean, and Thunder Rosa's was as well. And you know what one of the things that really kind of got me in it was the finish. Like, it was so brutal, but the fact that when Thunder Rosa put Britt through that table on the outside, and the ref is trying to move the table so that Thunder Rosa can pin Britt Baker.
Mm-hmm.
That whole craziness and there's a franticness that was happening at that moment to make sure to get that pin and to make that realistic after all that. And you can see the pain in both their faces, and especially Thunder Rosa's face. At that point, Britt's kind of out of it.
Right.
And the 1, 2, 3 happens. And And the way it was sold by Thunder Rosa after the fact, with basically like breaking into tears of just like, I'm in so much pain. This has been so emotionally devastating. This is so, it was almost more than a wrestling match. Like the build up to that feud didn't deserve how great that match was. If that makes sense.
That match was what Moxley and Omega's match at Revolution
Should have been. Yep.
There's no question in my mind. Like, that match was like infinitely better. But you are correct in the fact that like that's the match that the women's division for AEW needed to have. Because it's not like, I'm sorry, I haven't been taking it that seriously.
It's definitely gotten better. It's definitely gotten better, but I think we'll look back at this and people will look back at this as the changing of the tides or what have you.
Yes.
Like it was at this point that we realized kind of what we needed to do and how to move things forward and who to put our fucking bread and butter behind and all that type of shit. Like,
and one of those women needs to be the next AEW women's champion.
And I don't care which one.
I don't either.
I don't care which one.
It doesn't matter to me which one.
But you're absolutely right, because both of them have so much more personality than Shida.
God.
Shida, you're good, but like I need a little bit more than what you're giving me, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's not there. Every champion that they've had, women's champion that they've had prior, to Shida, of all of them, Nyla Rose is the only one with a fucking lick of personality.
Yep.
Riho, I mean, yeah, it's fun to you're fun to watch in the ring. That's not selling that's not selling the division. Like,
no, and Riho's honestly like, Riho really doesn't do it for me.
Mm-mm.
Like, she's a good wrestler.
She is, but that's it.
Yeah. I'm also not a huge fan of that Joshi style. Like,
yeah,
I don't mind it every now and again, but like, I want to see more. I don't know. I want to see Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa.
That's more the style of women's wrestling that I would prefer. And I would rather see, Nyla Rose more than that. Like, I think that's the style of wrestling I want to see with that division.
Yep.
I
Don't
wish.
get me wrong. Like, give me a Maki Ito and give me Riho.
Maki Ito is awesome, by the way. Like,
I know. I'm sad that she had to go back to Japan.
She'll be back. Fuck you. Like, it's like her whole gimmick is the best.
Her Instagram is Maki fucking Ito.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. She stumbled onto something there, which is a very great gimmick.
Yeah,
and it's fun, but I don't need that to be the face of the AEW division either.
Correct.
It's like, maybe give her a run down the line when it's a little bit more established with some of these actual better wrestlers. But I think some of the signings have been great. I think Leela Hirsch is actually underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that we're going to see big things out of Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill I think she's still a bit green, but that physique, that like, she's got charisma out the ass.
Mm-hmm.
And like, did you see that like toss power bomb thing that she did the other day?
Bro.
She's got that, and she's got like this suplex where she just like, holy
This
fuck.
shit is ruthless. I'm like, my wiener is scared.
Yeah, my wiener is scared, but kind of likes it. I'm not gonna.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's confused.
Yeah, it is
It's like,
definitely.
I'm scared, but slightly aroused.
Because she's
Like,
kind of hot too. She is like for a
well,
like,
yeah,
really,
but like,
yeah.
I kind of dig that. I kind of dig chicks that could hurt me.
Moving on.
Anyway.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, unless you had anything to add to
inside part outside. I'm sorry.
unless you had anything to add to the Baker Rosa thing, but it was the best
No, it
lights. It's the best no lights match they've done
Yeah.
compared to
that's saying
the
something.
Omega, Moxley one. I thought it was better.
I thought it was like night and day better. That's the thing, is like, anytime Moxley and Omega get together in the ring, like, it gets hyped up so much, and then it's just kind of like, you cannot live up to the hype.
And it's
so
always
stop.
good, but it's never as
It's good, but it's not great. It's not Omega Okada.
No, it's not. It's not what Kota Ibushi and Omega can do. It's not. It's not on the same level.
Yeah.
Dude. Couple quick little pieces of news. John Laurinaitis returns to talent relations.
No people power. No people power. Like
what are we doing?
Laurinaitis was around during our dark period.
He was, but from what I've heard, he's just another one of Vince's yes men, and that's kind of
course he is.
That's one of the reasons he's been brought back.
That's the problem.
Bra and panties matches, diva belts, the butterfly belts. That's what we're getting back. That's what's happening under the Laurinaitis rule.
Damn it.
And then the biggest piece of news that broke today, Jesus Christ, Duncan.
It's the Big Show shit himself.
No, we do need to keep a wrestler's shit count, which
Yes.
I think you suggested. We'll be doing that from now on. Is that we'll just kind of make a list and every
running
time
tally
a
of
running
wrestlers who have
tally.
shit them
Yeah,
tags.
it'll be the breaking news of the day. But no, Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil are hosting WrestleMania. Wonder why
And
they would do that. Wonder why they would have those two pair up.
Interesting. It couldn't be the fact that they're both Floridians and the fact that, dude, I don't know why WWE still thinks Hulk Hogan is that big of a draw.
And look, he's with a black guy. He's not
Right.
racist.
He didn't say all those things on that tape.
Yeah, look, Titus is cool with him, so everybody, look, he's good now. Like, see, Titus likes him. If Titus likes him, then he must be fine. Like, come
But what they
on.
also haven't said is if they're hosting together or if
Oh.
Hogan gets one night and Titus gets another night.
I didn't think about that. They'll probably do a weird switching off thing on both shows, but yeah, I can see your point. I can see him doing it that way as well.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that they will, but it is a possibility.
Yeah.
I think that, like, dude, brother, I don't know. It's just not something I need to see.
You want my high wrestling thought of the week?
I do want hold on. Yes.
Yeah, do it. Hey, actually, you know what? Let me turn off my camera for 2 seconds. Talk to the people for a second.
Oh, I'm going to talk to the people. You talk to the people.
Yeah.
I'll talk to the people.
I'm right here. I just turned off my
I know.
camera for reasons.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You go ahead. Turn off your camera. And then let me know, and I'll do the old same thing ski, and then we'll get
right
ready.
here. I just did it.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, we're trading off. So, Duncan, I'm going to give you my high wrestling booking thought for two of the people that we discussed earlier on the show.
Andrade and Aliester Black.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you have Andrade and Aliester Black start teaming together. At first,
start in OnlyFans.
first we don't know. At first, we don't know why they're teaming together. But then they explain they bonded in catering and related to being underutilized. Right. Then we find out this has been long underway and announced themselves as the real co-leaders of Retribution with Ali. At this point, all Retribution members take off the masks, stand next to Aliester Black, Ali, Andrade, fucking full lineup, take off the masks, and now it's a real Retribution, a real it all fits together.
I like your alliteration.
Yeah,
Of Ali, Aliester, Andrade.
unintentional, but that's probably because I'm high. But yeah, what do you think of this angle I'm running?
I mean, you had me until Retribution got
But
involved.
you could save Retribution right now. With
I don't
that,
think
if
you
they
can,
took
no.
if they took off them, they have to take off the masks, and they
They
have
do
to
have
and
to
they
take
have
off the mask.
and they have to look at if they did that and they look to like an Andrade and Aliester Black as like the leaders. Even Ali looks to them as the leaders. It's it's sort of like a double exalted one with evil Uno and the Dark Order, but then you like you have them, but you don't now. I was talking about making Retribution just a comedy act for weeks, but if you want to keep them serious, if they want to actually turn this thing around, those two would be perfect for it because it's the same arguments that the Retribution has been making, and it's the same exact thing that Andrade and Aleister Black in real life have been going through.
As long as they look, you got to basically drop all of the Retribution shtick except the name. If that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you do. As long as you drop the mask, you can keep the name. I think you can keep the name.
No, you keep the name, but you need to drop the masks.
Yep.
And I think that you have to get rid of T-Bar and Slapjack and you know what I mean?
They have to be like their real names.
Yes.
You have Michael Cole going, "Oh my God, it's Dominic Dijakovic," and like "Oh my God, it's Mia Yim." Oh my God.
Faking surprise. Pretends to be shocked. Like,
I mean, Michael Cole can pull it off, but
yes, but I mean, that's what would have to happen, and then they would have to go back to being not destroying property or generators or any of that shit, but like show up and beat people up.
And I think with the two of those guys, like it can work. Like if they,
I think it could absolutely work. I just know that it won't.
They won't be able to do it. Like they won't be.
It's just like Vince has already lost all faith in those two guys. So I think that it's just like they're literally just wearing out time on their contracts, and it sucks to watch.
It does. It does. Do you want a couple Facebook questions before we do predictions?
We probably should because we're getting
I know.
we're getting up there already.
I know we're getting there. Jay from Colorado. I think we know that guy.
Good brother Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love good brother Jay.
Said discuss the treatment of legends on AEW versus how they are handled on the WWE. Would like to hear your thoughts on the Peacock transition. Well, I'll start with the latter. I'm pissed off at the Peacock transition because I can't get. I have like an Android. Like a Fire TV, not an Android TV, like a Fire Power TV or whatever. 4K TV, and they don't make an app for it yet, so that's irritating. I've signed up for it, and yes, it's half the price, but I'm still just not very thrilled with. I checked out the layout today, and it's clunky. I'm gonna miss a lot of things about the network. I also think they'll get there. I also think that WWE's not dumb, and they've spent a lot of time and money on the network itself. So it might take a while, but it'll be exactly the same, if not better, eventually.
I don't think it'll be exactly the same, but it'll be comparable.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It sucks in the meantime.
I got the 3 emails over the last 3 days. They're just like, hey, by the way, your WWE Network subscription will not be renewed, and it expires today. And I'm just like, fine. They're
Here we go.
But if you use this code, we'll give you half off for 4 months.
Oh, so that's good.
So I'm just paying the extra $5 a month for the no
ads.
Yeah,
I'm doing the same. I think we got the same shit. Yeah, I'm doing the same.
Yeah. So like, whatever.
Fair enough. It'll be cheaper. It's okay.
Off.
It's fine.
Yeah. I was watching it I signed up and I just I downloaded the app onto my Apple TV. Then I was watching it and it just okay.
That's fine.
Fine.
I'm not going back. I know there's stuff missing, but I'm not going back and watching Raw from 1993 anyway. Like
typically no.
It not my thing, if it's there, great. Like I'll stumble onto stuff, but it's I don't need all that immediately, and I get it. It's whatever. The treatment of legends on AEW versus WWE, Duncan.
Well, I gotta say that it's pretty much night and day difference.
Mm-hmm.
The legends in WWE are used as props, basically. That's part of the reason that Big Show left to go to AEW was because he was they had him there on Legends Night and they wanted him to do something. He was like,
Is
no,
he inducted? He's not been inducted.
I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame.
So. I don't think so.
No, but he should be.
Oh yeah.
By all rights would be if he hadn't.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that's obviously in question.
defected.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that
They're handling him with respect in AEW. Is the
and
one thing I'll say.
Dude, WWE loves to make the legends the focus and take away, spend valuable time that some of their lesser seen stars could be utilizing on TV.
Whereas Taz and Sting are clearly there to help put over younger talent while doing their thing.
Exactly. The same with Tully and the same with Arn and the same, you know what I mean? And Jake, they're there to accentuate the newer talents and not to make everything about themselves.
And I think they like doing that. I think most of those guys prefer to do that. Just as guys in the industry, I think they prefer to do that than they do wheel me out and fucking, have a thing.
Could prop me up.
Yeah. Next question is from Deuce, and thank God he this one it gave me a stroke the first time I read it, the first time he posted it on our Facebook group. By the way, just find us on Facebook. That's some Polk County grammar is all I was saying.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. He says, I think this is he went back and edited it, and I think this is the edited version, and if not, we'll find out. But what do you think of Pinnacle? We kind of already went over that. I think we're pretty into it. I'm in support of it. Any thoughts on this week's AEW and the Amazing Women's match? Went over that. Totally told you about that. So do you think because Revolution did so many buys on a Sunday might be their new pay-per-view day? Think it's going to go back and forth. I think they're going to see what else is programmed for that particular weekend and choose one or the other. If there's a UFC fight on a Sunday or a boxing match on a Sunday, they're going to go Saturday. If it's the other way around, then they're going to go Sunday. I think that's kind of the way they book it, right?
I think you're right. Does UFC run on Sundays?
Sometimes.
I feel like
mostly Saturdays.
I was I feel like that's a Saturday night thing. I don't really think that it's.
I think it's Bellator. One of them, I think, maybe does a thing on Sundays. But yes, I think they're going to be opportunists in that sense. I think they will.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Saturday pay-per-view, and I can understand why a lot of people do as well. I actually do kind of prefer that. But it is a traditional wrestling day, and that has its merits as well. So especially if they're never going to run a Sunday pay-per-view against a WWE Sunday pay-per-view. That's not what they're never going to do that.
That's not smart.
No, that's dumb. So no, I don't know that. I think the reason also that Revolution did so well was because it was a fucking hell of it was well-built pay-per-view, and more people and the company's growing and more people just bought into it. He says, have a good show tonight, blah, 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 like that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, love to do a run-in on the next AEW pay-per-view and throw my hat in the predictions ring. Ooh, all right. We'll let Matthew beat you at some point, too.
Yeah, right? I was going to say.
Yeah. That being said.
You can fucking take the pin to Matthew for once. Jesus, I'm tired of it. My shoulders hurt.
I know, right? What y'all think of the new AEW figures? Well, Duncan, you just picked up your first one, right? You picked up
first one. I got him right here.
Your first Cassidy, your orange. He looks great. Oh, it's almost too nice to take out the box, isn't it?
It really is. And so these are the other ones in the series. You got Matt and Nick. You got Darby.
Number 3. Okay, so yeah. No, I think they're great looking figures.
They really are. They're a pain in the ass to find.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, they're only at Walmart, and
they're only at Walmart. And I looked on Walmart.com, and they're just the Walmart on Turkey Lake has 7 of them in stock. I went there. The survey said that was a lie.
Really? That's wow. Fucking fuck you, Walton.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I just wanted to buy another Orange Cassidy for my homies.
Well, it would have been man. Thank you so much. I can't go in at Walmart. They don't let me in there these days.
You are thoroughly like, you look like the leader of people of Walmart. Meth Rollins, they have your picture in there. They want.
Oh,
you
do
in.
they? I know. Okay, when I go in, will they all bow and cheer? Like they'll.
I mean, nobody's cheering in Walmart for any reason, but
except at the morning meetings.
Oh God. To do the Walmart rap.
Jordan Meeks asks, how much do you think WWE would actually change if Vince dropped dead tomorrow?
They would.
Not as much as people think it would.
Right. That's the thing is like it. Would it eventually change? Yes.
Yeah.
But as long as there is a McMahon involved, it's always going to sort of be, because I don't know that Trips takes it over because he's been like,
oh, Steph takes it over.
Yeah,
it's Steph. Yeah, Steph takes it over really, and then Trips has his hand in it. But I would imagine
I feel like Steph would still want to run it a little bit more conservatively, like Vince does.
I think so too.
So I just.
What if he just gives it to Kevin Dunn? I mean, he could like Kevin Dunn might end up running that thing. It would not surprise me.
Nothing's gonna surprise me, but at that point, also, it's just gonna be like, well, why? Why are we bothering now?
Yeah.
So
here's the unfortunate thing. I know we have a lot to complain about Vince, but he's kept it on a level for so many years. And yes, there's been lots of ups and lots and downs, but he's kept it I think in a position where it can always be sort of like valuable. And he understands it better than anybody on planet Earth can understand it. It's not going to be an immediate great thing when he dies and someone takes over.
Correct.
I think it could be, but it could also lead to the complete downfall of the company. Because there's a certain knowledge and a certain thing that Vince has, like it or not, that has kept it in business for this many years. So I don't know. I'm a little torn on that. And I also don't necessarily he's a piece of shit, but I don't wish death on Vince.
No,
I will cry when Vince McMahon dies.
I won't cry.
I don't know if I'll cry, but I'll feel something. I'll definitely feel something.
Dude, Vince has been like,
he's a part of our lives.
Right. And for the majority of us, like one way or another, Vince McMahon has been very influential in our lives. If you're listening to this wrestling podcast, then obviously, you're enough of a fan that he's impacted you.
Exactly. It's time for predictions, Duncan. Got to get there. Unfortunately, we do have our champions predictions.
Predictions by proxy number 2.
But we don't have him with us. So, but yeah, I've got him here. They are official.
He's here in spirit.
Now here's the thing. I asked him to, just in case they add the match back to the card, to predict the match that has been removed from the card with the Shane versus Braun. So I think we start with that one, Duncan.
You want to start with that one?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Matthew has said Shane.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty dead on one. So
because if they do that, they're obviously gonna do it at Mania because for some reason they think that that's a match that needs to fucking happen, which for the record it is not. But Shane will win this one so that Braun can get his win back and his comeuppance in Mania.
It's also weird. It's like they listened to the fans on this and decided to people aren't into this thing, and they decided to be like, maybe we should kind of change our mind on this.
Maybe it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, we can only hope. So we all go Shane on that one. That's fair. Next match I'll throw at you is with our good brother Reginald That is going to be the tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler with Reginald versus Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Matthew has gone for Jax and Baszler. What are your
Same.
thoughts? I think it's a pretty.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is unless they're pulling this like double swerve and Reginald costs Nia and Shayna the belts and then aligns with Sasha. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. But that's,
if that happens, in my mind, that happens at Mania.
yes.
So
But
yeah.
I don't think I think at Mania, if those two are going to have a one-on-one, you want it to not have any interference because you want it to just be that solid, great,
that
women's
real match that it should absolutely be. So,
but still, I'm going with Nia and Shayna
I
because
think so. I think I'm doing the same.
regardless, Reginald will, I'm sure, have something to do with it. And
Yeah, it'll probably help him win. He'll probably be
hope
the
so.
reason, and then maybe even cause some even more conflict between Bianca and Sasha.
Well, because they're
somehow.
they're planting those seeds of, Sasha continually being distracted by Reginald.
Yep.
And I like that. I like the subtlety. So
I do
interested in
too.
where
I do
it
too.
goes.
Here's the weird thing about this card is there's a lot of very predictable matches. They booked themselves a bit into a hole here because they kind of announced almost who was going to be at Mania and the logical things that were going to be at Mania. That's why Fastlane's a bit of a kind of a throwaway pay-per-view in my mind.
Fastlane is a pay-per-view that needs to not happen.
So what I'm going to do is skip ahead to more of the main event stuff that is more predictable, and then we'll, at the end, do the less predictable stuff if that works for you.
Whatever, man.
We'll go ahead with the Roman versus Daniel Bryan match. And I guess this one is a little less predictable. Do we find out? Are we at that point? Who is the guest? Can you look up the guest enforcer who won?
I can look
Because
it
that
up.
actually okay. So we'll skip ahead to the next one while you look that up. Drew versus Sheamus. I think we all know that one. Matthew goes Drew. I go
That
Drew.
has now been. It is now a no holds barred match
A no holds barred match between and is okay. So did
between Drew and Sheamus.
okay Drew and Sheamus. Still think Drew wins that. Going with Drew, as is Matthew.
Yeah, I'm going with Drew as well.
Going with
I don't
Drew.
think there's any like Drew's going to be in the championship against Bobby Lashley. There's no.
Yeah, I don't think they put Sheamus. Yeah, Sheamus is not going against Bobby Lashley at Mania. That's not really happening. I do think there's still that weird opportunity though for fucking Brock to show up and ruin it with another triple threat, but or something. But
I don't think Brock's going to be anywhere.
which is fair. Which is fair. Did
Edge defeated Jey Uso.
Okay, so that makes Edge the special guest enforcer, if I'm not mistaken, in the match between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. What exactly does that mean? Does that make him the referee? What is that?
No,
He's on the outside.
No, so it's like
Is he? He's not in the ring. He's on the out, and he's like
Yes.
keeping motherfuckers from getting in there and interfering.
he's supposed to keep fuckery at bay. So the enforcer role is the role that Mike Tyson played in the Shawn Michaels Stone Cold match at WrestleMania.
Right. Yep. Okay. It's been a while since they've used it. It's
Yeah.
definitely been a while, so it took me a while to think about it. But I mean, the logical thing for me is obviously Roman, but like there is a huge what if with if they were to like have dbry somehow like get it before
he
Mania
is-
and then with fans also Roman, like the new Roman, he will get cheered if he's raising a belt. There will be a moment with that. So especially if he's winning it, I guess he doesn't need to lose the belt to raise a belt. But then there's also, what if Edge screws dbry, and then somehow finds a way, like they find a way to have the three of them inserted in the match. So in a way, Roman wins, but for me, I'm like kind of like, I don't think I'm not writing off Daniel Bryan being on the WrestleMania main event somehow.
I mean, I'm not writing that off either, but like Roman is definitely going to win that match.
Roman's winning that match. Okay, so we're across the board on that one.
It's not going to be a dramatic card. I mean, I think this is a fairly unless.
Well, the last two are interesting.
The last two, we still have
Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton.
Bliss.
How the hell do we do that match, though?
Alexa wins.
And do we get the Fiend, do you think, that night?
I hope not. I hope they wait until Mania, but
I can see that. But I think that they will. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna do it. Matthew also went with Alexa. You're confirming Alexa.
Yeah.
All right. Alexa, it is. I'm going to go ahead and state mine for the final match was for the Intercontinental Championship.
Did we do Shinsuke and Seth Rollins?
Is that on the card? That's new. That's added today.
It must have been added. Oh, Matthew wouldn't have a prediction.
Matthew does not have a prediction, but just in the off chance, but this could be interesting because
I think it was added during SmackDown tonight.
Must have been. So Shin, you said it was Shin versus Seth?
Yep.
Okay. How about this? Just in case we tie and we beat Matthew, just in case, if we were to tie and we, beat Matthew, we could.
That's our tiebreaker.
That could be our tiebreaker. I'm going Seth.
I mean, I was too.
Of course, we were both gonna go.
Yeah,
Seth.
of course.
Shit.
I'll go Shin on that one, just for.
I would kind of like.
No, we'll get. Honestly,
that's not as predictable as I think about it. Now,
it's not. But with Seth just coming back and Buddy Murphy coming back,
that's why I would obviously lean towards
Seth,
it.
Yeah,
it's a 50-50, but Seth, no, it isn't.
I think it's like a 70-30.
That's fair.
So I mean, honestly, we're all gonna guess the same thing unless Matthew went Apollo Crews.
Okay. Well, Matthew went Big E, and Are
you going Apollo Crews?
And I'm going Apollo Crews.
Interesting. I don't think that they're going to have Big E lose it yet, especially because the only way that I would see them having him lose it is if he was going into a main event or a championship package with somebody else.
I think they're doing so much with what they're doing with the gimmick with Apollo Crews. I mean, I like the Nigerian side of things. I also have a weird feeling that we're going to get Apollo going to the Hurt Business. And he's been there before. There's a connection there. I think that you can make it work.
But that's a different roster.
Doesn't matter, baby. I think that you can make it happen, and even if he doesn't go that route, I think you can make him a one-man nation of domination, and want to see that. And I think Apollo Crews, they're building him right, and I think they can have a pretty long, if none of what I say is true, that's fine. But I think you can have a pretty lengthy and decent time of a decent feud and a decent program between the two of them, maybe having even another person, involved that really builds Apollo Crews and a back and forth. This is a hot potato I wouldn't even mind because it's a back and forth that can go and build Apollo Crews into something that we've needed, and it will give him a spotlight. And for me, there's a reason that they've done this at the timing that they have prior to WrestleMania to give him that spotlight to then move from there. Like, I think
to then have Big E take it back at WrestleMania.
Yeah, probably. So that's why I'm going Apollo Crews for Fastlane. Are you still going Big E?
Yeah.
All right. we're locked and loaded. That's it.
It comes down to Apollo Crews.
It comes down to Apollo Crews. Don't let me down, Apollo. You smiley git.
Gunge.
No, I've really liked. I really have.
I
what
really
they've
like
been
it
doing
too.
with
That's
that.
that's the thing is I don't disagree. It's hard when they do this and they put two people that they're trying to build up
Yeah.
in a feud against each other. And it doesn't I don't feel like this feud benefits either of them.
I can see what you mean, but I think give it time and it will.
Maybe.
Now. I also can see them if they really wanted to later down the road do a Cesaro Sheamus thing, and they end up becoming buds and a great tag team outside of the New Day like that. And then
could.
I could see that too.
But it would be hard for. I mean, yeah, like that. Apollo's obviously going to have to turn back face, or Big E's going to have to turn heel, but Big E's not going to turn heel. So
because of that money, I don't know. I don't think it's all done for necessarily.
No. I don't think it has anything
heel.
to do with
I think we'll see a Big E heel turn at some point.
I think you only see a Big E heel turn after Kofi retires.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't think as long as the New Day is a thing.
Yeah.
And they have no interest in splitting up. Like they're still doing their podcast. Like even though they're not on the same roster, they're still the New Day. So like I just can't see them. Like they really have no interest in that. So I think that once Kofi retires, maybe you'll see that like monster Big E come back like he was in NXT, which I wouldn't hate.
Sorry. Ugh. White Claw got me there. No, I'm with you. No, I wouldn't hate it either. I've gone back and seen some of that early Big E Langston stuff. I wasn't watching at the time, but he was like a different guy, and I think and I think that
you did the 5 count.
Yeah, and he did need a hyper injection of personality as well. Like he was a bit boring, but he was tough.
Oh, yeah.
And like if you could combine the two entities of Big E that have existed from those times, I think you're looking at a goddamn like world superstar. And like
absolutely. Big E will be a superstar. Like there's no question in my mind about that. It's just like I think it's just taken people a little bit of time to see that he's got the complete package when it comes to
exactly. And they are,
well,
I know we're running short on time. I know it's about the end of the show, but I wanted to ask you one more question for the evening, sir. And I know there's probably multiple of these, but I wanted to ask you the first and just bring up the first one that comes to mind. Crying at a wrestling moment. What moment? We've all
Undertaker retiring.
God damn it, you stole mine.
Sorry, you said first thing that came to my mind. Like that's the one. Like
no,
we were there in Orlando, and like
not the real retirement, but what we thought was the retirement.
Yes,
and I'm gonna do one of these every couple weeks. I'm gonna like ask it again, like because I know there's like so many of them, but. For me, that really wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
we were standing, like, we were almost holding hands, and like,
we were like, yeah, our wives are just like you
dorks.
They're like, oh, look at you crying, nerds. Like, shut up, it's emotional.
It's a big deal. Do you not understand the symbolic nature of him folding his coat and putting his hat in the middle of the ring and walking out, and then he went down the thing. He went down.
Shut up, you nerds. It's time for you to go home.
God damn it, Frank.
Oh, you woke me up from heaven.
Frank, what did I tell you? We have to be quiet or else the aliens are going to come back looking for us.
God damn
asshole.
it. God damn it, Jesse. It's time for us to go home. These motherfuckers, they don't understand how promotion works.
They don't understand the Gunge. Because I'm afraid I've got some Gunge.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to episode 108 of the OhNo Wrestling Podcast. We'll talk about, oh man, I'm gonna have to throw Gunge in the title, aren't I, in this one?
Gunge predictions.
Yeah. I'll come up with a fancy title for you. But yeah, thank you for hanging out with us. I'm sure we'll see you next week, hopefully on a Tuesday at a regularly scheduled time. Check us out if you're listening on the podcast over at twitch.tv/ONRS Live. That ONRS is because this is a branch of course, the OhNo Radio Show. Check out the OhNo Radio Show, where we don't talk wrestling, but we talk equally as hilarious content, and
You do talk wrestling.
we do talk wrestling on occasion, much to the dismay of my other two co-hosts. Duncan, what else we got to promote? Oh, our Patreon. Patreon.com/ONRS. And I think there's an Instagram. Yeah.
Instagram.com.
OhNo Wrestling. At OhNo Wrestling.
Wrestling. Let's see. There's going to be, you can look forward to twitch.tv/NCG show.
Yeah. For Nobody Cares Go Harder, right?
Nobody Cares Go Harder. That's me and Matthew's show.
Yes.
So, and yeah, we'll be getting that going. Probably just be me for a minute because Matthew's the hardest working man in show business as usual.
I'll hop in there and help you out from time to time, buddy.
Do the damn thing.
Do the damn
Be
thing.
right.
Also, on the same notion, if you do want to, leave us a voicemail every once in a while, you can do that at 407-906-6466. We'll get those voicemails. We'll play them on the show. And, Duncan, what do we say when we get out of here?
Gunge.
Gun!